Ryan had only 2 months to save the hotel from ruin. In an unexpected strategy, he decided to infiltrate as a janitor to better understand the situation. However, upon falling in love with the young manager, he finds himself entangled in a web of secrets when he discovers surprising connections between his own past and the mysterious history of her family. Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is Linda's Love Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. Ryan looked out the car window as he drove along the winding road that snaked between the lush mountains. The 28-year-old adjusted his sunglasses and sighed, thinking about the tense meeting he had just had with his siblings. As heir to a business empire built by his grandfather, Ryan felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. The subject of the meeting still echoed in his mind. The family's small hotel in the rural town was on the brink of bankruptcy. His siblings wanted to close it down to cut their losses, but Ryan couldn't accept that so easily. That hotel had special meaning. It was his grandfather's first business, the starting point for everything the family had achieved since. 2 months, Ryan murmured to himself, recalling the deadline he had set. He had 60 days to make the hotel profitable again, or he would have to agree to close it. It was quite a challenge, but Ryan was determined to try. As he approached the small town, Ryan was struck by the natural beauty of the place. A majestic waterfall cascaded behind the hotel, creating a breathtaking scene. How can this place be going bankrupt? He wondered. To better understand the situation, Ryan decided to infiltrate the hotel as an employee. Wearing simple clothes and using a false name, he introduced himself as the new janitor. The hotel manager, a young woman named Mia, welcomed him with a suspicious look. "Do you have experience as a janitor?" she asked, scrutinizing him from head to toe. "Of course," Ryan lied, trying to appear confident. "I'm great at cleaning." Mia raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. "All right, you can start by cleaning the lobby bathrooms. The supplies are in the cleaning closet." Ryan swallowed hard, realizing the task would be more difficult than he had imagined. In the following hours, he wrestled with buckets, brooms, and cleaning products, doing his best not to raise any suspicions. Mia passed by from time to check his work, always with a critical expression on her face. "You need to scrub harder," she instructed at one point, demonstrating the correct motion with the mop. Ryan nodded, feeling his hands ache from the unusual effort. In the days that followed, Ryan continued his work as a janitor, carefully observing the hotel's routine and talking with the few guests. Gradually, he began to understand the reason for the crisis. The town itself was in decline, driving tourists away. One afternoon, while cleaning the windows in the lobby, Ryan overheard Mia talking to an elderly couple who were about to leave. "It's a shame to see the city like this," the lady commented. "We used to come every year, but now the streets are dark at night, the tourist spots abandoned. We couldn't even find a good restaurant open." Mia nodded sadly. "I know, it's been hard for all of us. The city's administration has been terrible in recent years." That conversation sparked an idea in Ryan's mind. He needed to do something not just for the hotel, but for the entire city. That night, he mustered the courage to approach Mia with his proposal. "And what if we organised a community clean-up and a festival to attract tourists?" he suggested. "We could gather the local merchants, do a big clean-up of the town, fix what's broken." Mia looked at him, surprised by the janitor's initiative. "That's actually not a bad idea," she admitted. "But we would need resources, promotion for the festival." "Leave that to me," Ryan quickly responded, already planning how to use his family contacts without revealing his true identity. In the following weeks, Ryan and Mia worked together to organise the community cleanup. He was impressed by the dedication and creativity of the young manager. Mia, in turn, began to see the janitor in a new light, admiring his enthusiasm and ideas. The day of the community cleanup arrived sunny and lively. Dozens of residents and shopkeepers gathered in the central square, armed with brooms, buckets, and tools. Ryan and Mia led the groups, distributing tasks and encouraging everyone. "Let's start with the square," Mia announced, wielding a broom. "Then we'll split up to clean the main streets." Ryan smiled as he grabbed a bucket. "I'll take care of the fountain," he offered, rolling up his sleeves. Throughout the day, the town buzzed with activity. Streets were swept, trash was collected, gardens were trimmed, volunteers painted park benches and fixed street signs. Ryan used his connections to secure donations of paint and construction materials, always careful not to reveal his true identity. As the work progressed, Ryan and Mia grew closer and closer. They exchanged knowing glances, laughed together at funny situations, and celebrated each small victory. A spark of attraction began to grow between them, still timid and undeclared. It had been days of hard work. Finally, on the day before the festival, after much effort, as night fell, exhausted but satisfied, the group gathered once more in the square to admire the results of their labour. The city seemed to have come to life, the clean streets, the blossoming square, the storefronts painted in vibrant colours. "We did a great job," Mia remarked, looking around with pride. Ryan nodded, feeling a pang of guilt for still hiding his true identity. But before he could say anything, Mia continued. "We still have a lot to do, but it's a start. What do you think about continuing to plan? We can have dinner at my place and discuss the next steps." Ryan's heart raced with the invitation. "Sure, I'd love to," he responded, trying to contain his smile. Ryan arrived at Mia's simple yet cosy house. He was warmly welcomed by her grandparents, a friendly elderly couple who insisted on joining the conversation about the plans for the town. As they savoured a delicious homemade stew, Mia's grandfather began sharing stories about the town's past. Ryan listened attentively, fascinated by the details of the time when local tourism started to bloom. "You know," said the old man with a nostalgic twinkle in his eyes, "over 50 years ago, when that hotel was built, I lent my friend a little money to start the business. It wasn't much, but it was all I had at the time." Ryan felt his heart race. He was hearing about his own grandfather, although no one else there knew it. The old man continued, "He never paid me back that money, you know. But I never asked for it back either. The hotel provided work for many people here, including our family. I think in the end it was a good investment." Mia looked at her grandfather, surprised. "Grandpa, you never told me that story." The gentleman shrugged. "Oh, those are old things. The important thing is that the hotel helped the city grow. It's a shame to see how things have changed." Ryan could barely contain his excitement. That revelation changed everything. He needed to do something about it. But how, without revealing who he really was? After dinner, Ryan and Mia went out for a walk. The night was pleasant, with a gentle breeze and a starry sky. They walked side by side in silence for a few minutes until they stopped in front of a small bridge over the creek that ran through the city. "Thank you for coming to dinner," Mia said, breaking the silence. "My grandparents liked you a lot." Ryan smiled, feeling his heart race. "I'm the one who should be grateful. Your family is amazing." They looked at each other for a long moment, the tension growing between them. Slowly, as if moved by an invisible force, their faces drew closer. The kiss was gentle, hesitant at first, but soon deepened, laden with suppressed emotion. When they finally pulled apart, breathless, Ryan felt a mix of happiness and guilt. He knew he needed to tell Mia the truth, but he feared losing everything they had built over the past few weeks. "Mia, he began, but was interrupted by the sound of his phone. It was a message from his brothers, reminding him of the approaching deadline. Ryan sighed, knowing he needed to make a decision. "I have to go," he said reluctantly, "but we'll see each other tomorrow at the festival, right?" Mia nodded, a shy smile on her lips. "I can't wait!" The next morning, the town woke up in a frenzy. The festival that Ryan and Mia had organised to attract tourists was about to begin. The streets, freshly cleaned and decorated, were already starting to fill with curious visitors. Mia was running back and forth, checking the last details. But something was bothering her. Ryan was nowhere to be found. "Has anyone seen Ryan?" she asked every hotel employee she encountered. They all shook their heads negatively. As the hours passed and the festival came to life, Mia's worry turned into frustration. How could he have disappeared just now, after all the hard work they'd put in? The peak of the festival arrived with a musical performance in the central square. The crowd was gathering and the atmosphere was joyful, but Mia could hardly focus, her eyes constantly scanning the crowd in search of Ryan. Suddenly, a murmur spread through the square. Mia saw a group of men in suits approaching the stage. Among them, to her shock, was Ryan, but not the janitor Ryan she knew. This Ryan was wearing an elegant suit and had a confident demeanour she had never seen before. The host grabbed the microphone, his voice echoing through the square. "Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of introducing the sponsors of this event, the Henderson brothers, from Henderson Enterprises." Mia felt as if the ground had vanished beneath her feet. Ryan, the simple janitor she had fallen in love with, was actually the millionaire heir who owned the hotel. While Ryan was giving a speech about the importance of revitalizing small towns, Mia struggled against a storm of emotions. She felt betrayed, used, as if their entire relationship had been a lie. As soon as Ryan stepped down from the stage, his eyes searched for Mia in the crowd. When he found her, he saw the hurt and confusion in her gaze. He tried to approach her, to call her name, but she turned and disappeared into the crowd. In the weeks that followed, the city experienced a remarkable transformation. The festival had been a success, attracting media attention and bringing in a wave of curious tourists. Local businesses flourished, and the hotel once again enjoyed healthy occupancy. But for Mia, the joy of success was overshadowed by the pain of disappointment. She avoided Ryan at all costs, refusing to answer his calls or respond to his messages. One sunny afternoon, while Mia was at home, the doorbell rang. Upon opening the door, she was met with a man in a suit, carrying a briefcase. "Mia Clark?" he asked formally. "I am the Henderson family lawyer. I have an important matter to discuss with you and your family." Intrigued and slightly apprehensive, Mia called her grandparents and invited the lawyer in. The three of them sat in the living room, anxious to find out what it was about. The lawyer cleared his throat and began. "After extensive research in our records, the Henderson family became aware of an initial investment made by Mr. Clark," he indicated Mia's grandfather, "in the family hotel more than 50 years ago." Mia's grandfather frowned, recalling the story he had told during dinner weeks ago. The lawyer continued, "In recognition of this crucial investment and the role your family played in the hotel's initial success, the Henderson family has decided to transfer the ownership of the establishment to Mr. Clark and his heirs." An astonished silence fell over the room. Mia and her grandparents exchanged glances, hardly able to believe what they were hearing. "How?" Mia's grandfather finally managed to stammer. The lawyer smiled kindly. "Mr. Ryan Henderson personally insisted on this decision. He believes it is the right thing to do." As the lawyer explained the legal details of the transfer, Mia felt her heart stir. Ryan was not the cold and calculating man she had feared. He had done something extraordinarily generous and fair. That night, unable to contain her anxiety, Mia walked to the square in front of the hotel. To her surprise, she found Ryan sitting on one of the benches, looking pensively at the building. Seeing her approach, Ryan stood up, his eyes filled with hope and apprehension. "Mia, he began, but she interrupted him. "Why did you do it?" Mia asked, her voice trembling slightly. Ryan took a step towards her. "Because it was the right thing to do. Your grandfather believed in my grandfather's dream so many years ago. Without him, none of this would exist. And because..." He hesitated for a moment. "Because I fell in love with you, Mia. The real you, no matter who I pretended to be." Mia felt tears forming in her eyes. "I fell in love with you too, Ryan. The clumsy janitor who wanted to save our town." Ryan smiled, extending his hand to her. "I think we still have a lot of work ahead of us. How about we do it together? No more secrets this time." Mia looked at the extended hand, at the hotel behind them, and finally at Ryan's sincere eyes. Smiling, she intertwined her fingers with his. "Together," she agreed. As they walked hand in hand through the square, the hotel glowed softly under the moonlight, a symbol of a new beginning, not just for them, but for the entire town. The story that had begun more than half a century ago with a loan between friends had blossomed into something beautiful and enduring, proving that it is never too late to do the right thing, and that love can be born in the most unexpected places. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you liked the story. Also, watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.